What up, boys? Cutting fucking sucks. Okay? No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, it's always going to suck. So if you're watching this video thinking that I'm going to say anything else or give you some sort of like secret way of doing it where it's, you know, suffering free, you're in the wrong place. You're trying to do the wrong thing. Your mentality's already off. We're off to a bad start. We got a lot of work to do, okay? If cutting is something you want to do and you keep telling yourself, oh, you know, well, I'll do it next month, or I'll bulk for a couple more months even though you're already like, you know, 20% body fat, you know, or you're already looking pretty fucking fat, you got the moon face going on, telling yourself, oh, I'm recomping, whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, you got to get down to it and actually freaking follow through on that, right? You can only say it and not do it for so long until people start thinking you're a joke, right? You need to actually be able to follow through. As a bodybuilder, it's a very important aspect of this sport, right? That being said, because it's a hard thing to do, it is often something that you're going to fail at, and it's also something that's abnormal, so most people aren't going to hold you accountable. The only person that can, when things get rough, is really going to be yourself. Even your friends will sabotage you for the most part, okay? Because they don't want you getting too lean or you know, doing something that they're not comfortable doing. They want to keep you at their own pace. And so I'm going to give you some advice on that as somebody who has tried and failed twice now to successfully do a cutting phase. This is attempt number 3. Oh, am I fucking stupid? 3, right? To get to 165 pounds. This morning, I woke up at 167.5. So I'm literally right there. I'm going to take my time with it though, just because I don't want to like, the diet fatigue is kind of getting to me and I look, you know, flat and depleted and kind of feel like dookie. So I'm going to, you know, take my time with it and like wait till the end of, I don't want to date the video, but the end of March. And then by that point, I should be at 165 looking like, you know, not death. And what was different this time around than those last couple times was that this time around, I made it more personal, you know? If that makes sense, right? Before, the cutting was just a matter of like something I wanted to do, but the stakes weren't very high, and for the most part, there was no real accountability factor or anything like that for if I follow through. Whether I got there or not, nothing really changed in that sense. But this time around, right? And this is kind of stupid. This is kind of stupid, but it works. Okay? It's a little petty, but a friend of mine, kind of like a childhood friend of mine, made a little comment about the way that I was looking, right? And I was like peak bulk at the time, guys, like 205. I was cultivating mass, okay? Had some fat. I was fluffy, yeah. Arms were big though, you know, 17 plus. Legs were big. Still had some vascularity. But he said, and this hurt me to my soul, to my core, bro, that I look like a more muscular version of my dad. And I was like, oh my God, can't let that slide. You can't let that slide. And he made a couple other snarky remarks about my you know, body, you know, being fat and whatnot. And as somebody who was on the little like chunkier side when I started, right, that did cut deep. Stuff like that does cut deep. And I was already like debating getting on a cut anyway, so I was like, well, this is gonna have to be my 13th reason. You know what I mean? This can't go on. This can't go on. And so now I had a point to prove, right? Point to prove. I took that shit personally, okay? I wanted to show that motherfucker, why am I censoring myself? That motherfucker, how easy it is for me to get to that body composition that he deems to be some sort of like, you know, ultimate task or whatever. Because I'm a bodybuilder and that's something I should be able to do. So I took it personally, guys. Write that down. Okay, you gotta take it personally, man. You need to make a villain in your mind. It makes this process a lot more fun. The motivation factor is taken care of alone by just that. If you have a villain in mind that you have to defeat, a higher enemy, you wake up every morning with a pep in your step and a reason to do it. You get what I'm saying? Whereas if it's just you, you know, the you versus you, then that's cool and whatnot. But like, dude, sometimes you are a pussy. you know what I mean? And you are not enough for that, you know, motivation factor. Sometimes you need that fucking little fire, you know, under you, cooking you, roasting you, to make you want to really go that far. And that's what really helped me out this time around on the motivation aspect, right? That was a mindset, okay, the mentality. But as far as actual like tactics to successfully, you know, commit to a calorie deficit and stay the course throughout this whole process, one major thing I implemented this time around that I didn't do before was fasting. So I never fasted before. And when I say fasting, I don't mean like intermittent fasting. I don't mean the easy versions, right? I mean like a proper prolonged fast, like 24 hours, 48 hours. I wouldn't, you know, I never really went further than that, but some people fast for like an entire week. It's pretty fucking effective. Now, me personally, in the past I'd never done stuff like that because I was afraid of like muscle loss, right? You hear that, you got to eat 5 times a day to maximize muscle synthesis at least 3 times. If you don't eat, you go into a big deficit, you're going to lose all this muscle, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Now, obviously there's a morsel of truth there, right? A morsel of truth, but like with anything in life for the most part, it's not black or white. There's always like a middle ground there where the truth always tends to lie. And I found out that in reality, if you're consistently keeping up your resistance training, which is the biggest aspect here, if you're consistently lifting weights and you're going hard in the gym and you're staying, you know, on top of that, you're frequently doing that, obviously, you will not be losing muscle. You won't. It's stupid. Like, obviously you won't. Your body isn't going to all of a sudden just like utilize your muscular tissue over your body fat, dude. And then I looked more into the fasting stuff, man, and I found out that it actually spikes your testosterone for that brief period of time, which literally leads to a muscle sparing effect. And it also, I believe, increases your growth hormone and things along those lines. Now, I'm not saying fasting is going to turn you into Ronnie Coleman or anything, but it's definitely not this catabolic, you know, ruining thing for your muscles that people seem to think it is, especially amongst bodybuilders, right? And then I started to realize, how come it isn't more of a thing that is recommended to people? And I realized it's because it can't be sold, right? You can't sell somebody not eating food, right? You can't just be like, oh, take my fasting course. Like, what kind of a chimpanzee, a room temperature IQ Neanderthal could figure out how to fast? You know what I mean? It's not the most complicated thing in the world. So it's hard to monetize, right? And I gave it a shot and it worked. It worked. It simplified things to such an extent. Now all of a sudden, I didn't have to be super anal about the amount of calories I was eating, what foods I was eating, and like being on top of this like stringent meal plan the entire time. I could just simply not eat for a full day throughout that week, and like my calorie deficit, it was almost secured in that one day basically. And if in those other days I just stayed at a reasonable amount, like the fat loss was pretty much guaranteed. And I was doing 2 of those a week in the first 4 weeks. No, was it the first 4? Yeah, no, I think it was the first 8. In the first 8 weeks, that's right. And I dropped from my peak weight of 205 down to, I believe, 180. So 25 pound difference in body weight in an 8-week time frame, which is about 2 months or so, which is really good. That's, for some people, that's their entire cut. Me, I'm going a little further, right? I'm going for the money. I had a lot of excess body fat to lose, so I'm going for more of like a 35 to 40 pound cut. Because by the end of it, I need the before and after to be crazy. And I'm going to show you guys all. Throughout this video, I'll show you kind of what I'm looking like right now. I recorded a little physique update video in my kitchen, where for some reason we just have like amazing lighting. Just amazing lighting for some reason. Very intense bottom down, so I like to pose down in there. Super convenient, I guess, but I know it's a little weird. And I'm looking pretty good. I'm seeing veins now in my upper back. You know what I mean? Like, where do those come from? Just out of nowhere. Veins on my lats, dude. What? Right? And then I'm just random veins in my biceps. I'm just seeing veins in places I didn't even know I had veins, which is pretty cool. That's the fun part about cutting. But yeah, not to get too far off track, fasting mainly was the biggest difference this time around, and it made, you know, all the difference throughout the long term here. And one of the main benefits of it was that it actually shrunk my stomach and reacclimated, readjusted my hormone levels, right? My I guess the gut microbiome. My appetite became weaker, right? You wouldn't be expecting that if you just didn't eat for a long period of time. Your appetite would actually get weaker. When you come back from the cut, you're like, oh my god, I could eat so much. You're like, I could eat an entire like cupboard worth of food, and I'll empty out this fridge. You sit down, bro, you eat like half of that food that you just ate with your eyes, thought you could handle all that, and all of a sudden you're like full. You're way fuller than you thought you would be. Your literal stomach has shrunk, and that was the biggest benefit to me. My stomach went from a man who was 200 plus pounds to a stomach belonging to a man who weighs 160 pounds, right? And that was the biggest difference. So I do highly recommend you give fasting a try. Now, if you can look into it, and there's like obviously a lot of other benefits to it, plenty of other benefits. You can do it for a million other reasons as well, but that was mainly why I did it, and I highly recommend you give it a shot. And I'm telling you, it could be the thing that ends up really changing the game for you. Now, I mean, that's about it as far as the biggest differences this time around. And so let's recap, right? You want a successful cut. You've failed before, and you keep failing, and it's kind of like a repeating process. If you want to get on top of that, you have to, one, make it personal, and two, implement things like fasting. Make it more simple. The less you have to think about it, the easier it's going to become for you. You could do OMAD as well, which is 1 meal a day. Again, this is going to help you get away with kind of just eating the foods you love, because the portion control is kind of like built into it. And a couple of, I guess, honorable mentions for making a cut a lot easier. Getting your steps in, dude. Get your steps in, okay? 10,000 steps a day, and you don't compromise on that. In fact, you do more if you can. 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Get your steps in. Bare minimum, dude. You cannot skimp out on that. Like that's the most important factor in this, as far as like making it, you know, easier on you in terms of how long it takes and how much food you can eat. You do not want to miss out on getting your steps in. So absolutely stay on top of that shit, dude. And then, you know, enjoy lower calorie versions of things that you normally eat. Like if you like soda, drink your 0 calorie soda. Who gives a shit? Artificial sweeteners, whatever, dude. You're gonna be fine. Okay, you're pretty resilient. Okay, your dextrose is that what it's called? Sucralose, whatever. Those aspartame, those things, they're not gonna kill you. Okay, every now and then you'll be fine. And that's about it, man. That is about it. Try those things out, dude. Make it fucking personal. Come on, like you're a bodybuilder, right? Or at least you call yourself one. If cutting is even a concept you know about bodybuilding, and you're kind of in this to some extent, like come on, bro, you gotta follow through. You can't just be that shit in name. You can't just tell people that's what you do, and then you're just fat as fuck all the time. You gotta show them. All right, and that makes you impressive in their eyes. All right, you gotta think about that. But I'm rambling at this point. That is the end of the video. Hopefully this has helped you out to some extent. If you want to see more videos like this, share it with a friend, dude. Maybe you got a fat ass friend that just might need some advice. I was there, dog. I'll help you out. Bring them my way. Leave a like on the video, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.